on the bench, you see an open Elna Supermatic. This is another Supermatic. The other one, the last one I had, didn't have an issue with the hook drive gear, but this one came in not stitching, and as you can see, this plastic drive gear for the hook is completely shredded. So, got the modern white nylon replacement for that black gear. And just like the drive tire on the motor, there's a pin to drive out, and then put the plastic piece in and drive the pin back in. So I don't have a driving tool for that, so I need to find something I can drive that pin out with. Although this plastic piece might be broken enough, if I drive it a little bit, I'll be able to grip it and get it out. So let's see now. Oh, tip of that chopstick is far too big. Turns out chopsticks are a pretty handy tool a lot of times. I'm gonna have to find something to drive that pin out. Alright, bit of tapping, removed this pin, and now we'll just pry the old gear off the end of the shaft here. Oh, and there's a metal washer there for a shim washer, and it looks like I need to actually get a lot of these big chunks of gear out of there just to make my life a little easier before we move on here. There we go. And then just slip our new gear on, make sure we line up our hole for the roll pin. Oh, come on. So the hard part is getting these roll pins to hold in position. So let me press this in there so it's even. Now when we set it on there and line it up with our hole position, we can gently tap it in. Alright, and then I need to get a finer tool to tap that even and flat. New gear in place. I didn't show taking apart the old, or getting the hook out, but we're gonna have to time the hook, and I'm gonna check the manual, but I think I'm gonna actually time the hook as I set it in place here. So let me stick a needle in there so that we can see where the hook is going, and and then I'll just try to drop the hook in place on the new gear. Okay, so it's rotating down counterclockwise as it engages. Alright, let's oh, and the hook actually swings at an angle. That's right. This is... So I'm gonna... nope, I want this to be back a tooth. If I move this back a tooth now, there we go. Looks like we're quite close there. Alright. Having set this down in place, I'm going to take my needle out, and then we'll I totally missed. This piece was in the way. Alright, I gotta pull the hook out. But that was good practice for setting the hook. There. That bracket has to go in there before we can put the hook back in. Totally forgot I had taken that out, but there's no way to do that gear without removing this hook bracket. So there's a screw in here, and then these two end screws that are visible when the machine is put together. And when you put this bracket back in to get it out, this lever goes underneath the cam on the drive shaft, but there's also this nut had to be loosened to get the hook and bobbin case out, so I'm gonna have to make an adjustment when I put this back in. Alright, that's going in. Get our other two screws in. Alright, get these other two screws in. Oh, and before I can drop the hook in, I have to put the bobbin case back in place. So the bobbin case has this black section that goes down underneath there, which I had a much easier time getting out once I had this piece removed, so I'm going to put it back in before I reinstall the hook. And then the other half goes on top, and there's 2 screws that match up to inserts. So I'm going to get those screwed together. The screws that hold that together are these stem screws with a spring, and they hold the top and bottom of the bobbin case together with a spring action in the hook. So I threaded both of these stem screws with the springs in, and now we just have to tighten them down in place. And they hold the 2 halves of the bobbin case together inside the hook. Now with the bracket back in place, and lift the presser foot out of the way, got our needle down. We remember that our hook goes backwards when it settles into the gears, so alright. And this is the part where I needed this nut loose. And I snugged it up because I didn't want to lose it, and now this bracket needs to slip on out of the way for that hook to settle in place. There we go. Now, did I guess right on that gear? I'll be danged, I got it right on the first try. Now I just have to jiggle this bobbin case around. Alright, let me get the needle out of the way. So I think that's about right. So just all right. Oh, I've got the right tooth, so I just need to Get that to rise up, and then there. Settle it in place, and now this finger needs to be set, and that just needs to have enough gap for the thread to get past it. So I'm gonna set that like so. I'm sure there's a measurement in the adjustment manual somewhere, but tiny gap is what I'll try, and then I'll go look that up when I get a chance. The hook is held in with a 3-piece setup. There's a very flimsy shim bearing washer, the big main washer, and then a screw down the center that is a flathead that's drilled out. And let's see if I can make that go in the hole with the camera trying to look at it. I don't think that's gonna happen. There we go. As soon as I set it. So the center of the nope, it's gonna be in the way. I gotta get in there with a flathead screwdriver to get that screw in place. But the center of the hook is hollow, so oil through that screw to make sure that the hook pin gets lubricated. And I'm going to tighten that screw up to keep the hook in place, and we should be able to move on. Alright, with our new gear in place, it's time to get our feed dogs reinstalled. And I think there's not much adjustment on the mounting here. I think all the adjustment for the feed dog centering is located in another in other parts of the mechanism here. So I'm gonna snug these up and then pop the cover on, see what happens, but I don't think okay. There is a lot of motion in those, but we'll square them up. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Not rubbing on the plate here, which it looks like this plate needs flattening. Oh, this plate is broken. There is a crack in this plate. I'll have to find a replacement for that.